Welcome, Spartans, to Podcast Evolved, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. Podcast Evolved hosts original lore series and recaps monthly Halo news. Our current lore series is Infinite Impressions. I am your host, Aaron, and with me today we've got the elusive Oran.
Hello, everyone. Elusive. Yeah, I guess that's a little true at this point.
Well, to be fair, you were on last week, but I was elusive last week, so you've done two in a row. That's...
You know, honestly, I think this is the first two in a row in a couple of months, so almost a year. So, I'll take it.
We'll all get there. Someday we'll all assemble and manage to have a full crew again. That's Krista. You're due an appearance, just reminding you.
Krista and I did an episode this year. I think we did one in January. Me, her, and David, I think.
That is now the criteria for Evolve. Did we do a show this year? Yes, we did. Well, I have yet to do one this year, I think, with Krista, so I'll have to harass her into that. But anyway, we will get on with this week's show. Shoutouts to Lucas, who was supposed to be here until he forgot he doesn't have his computer desk yet.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Next week, Lucas. This week's episode, we're going to cover the Season 3 preview for Halo Infinite. So it is called Echoes Within. Before we get started, I will dive into the socials. So if you're new to the show, welcome. Evolved hosts a variety of shows. This is Podcast Evolved. You can check out our previous lore series, The Road to Infinite, and the Character Dossiers. We also host a variety of other shows. We've got Mission Debrief, Builds with Blocks, HCS Pro Talk, Halo TV Plus, Halo Gear Guide, Halo Book Club, and Halo Headlines. You can learn more about all of our shows by going to the website, evolvedhalo.com. If you're already a fan, we would like to ask you to take a minute to leave us a review on your podcast service of choice. We greatly appreciate it. We would also like to take a moment to thank all of our patrons for their continued support. You guys help make everything we do possible.
Yes, thank you guys so much.
Yep, you continue to blow us away. Every so often I get another new notification. I think I got one this week that we got a new patron, so
welcome.
Honestly, every time, we love it. If you're not already subscribed and would like to become a patron, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Halo Evolved, and there you will see all of the perks and benefits. We've got access to early episodes, unique swag, access to the soundtrack, access to the patron exclusive episodes for I Would Have Been Your Podcast, one of which we will be recording directly after this. You also get access to the Patreon Discord channel where you can drop suggestions for what you would like to hear on your exclusive podcast, because it's not strictly Halo, so it can be about anything. Some of the topic suggestions I've seen here are about anything. Favorite food involving cheese.
Is that a prompt?
That is a prompt there, yeah. So you can come and listen to all of them. I think we are going to have at some point I'm just going to have a Star Trek episode with Ian. We're going to talk about that as well. So put your suggestions in, become a patron today, and you too might soon have an episode dedicated to whatever you want us to talk about. Finally, we encourage all of our listeners to support us through Audible. There you can get the growing collection of Halo novels all in one place, along with thousands of other novels, guided wellness programs, and more. Use the URL audibletrial.com/podcast evolved to learn more and start your free trial today. And as is customary, I will give an audiobook suggestion. This month's audiobook was I believe it's the third Witcher novel, Blood of Elves. So I've just listened to that. Quite good. The Witcher novels aren't bad. The first two, though, were deeply upsetting because someone did not tell the narration team that one of the characters' names was not pronounced Dandelion.
Dandelion?
They pronounced it Dandelion instead of Dandelion, and it killed me the whole way through it. It's the same with the third Gears of War novel just came to Audible, and I listened to it, and instead of pronouncing it quay, like a quay in a harbour, they pronounced it quay.
Wow, Dandelion cracks me up. Dan Lillian just sounds so cool. How do they not know?
Yes, you all know the famous bard Dandelion. So, occasionally you can have an interesting audiobook listen, so that's always fun. I believe there may have been a few mispronunciations in the early Halo novels, but we've probably talked about it before.
Yes, for sure. There's definite. I think it just kind of naturally happens. Even to your best effort. I mean, there's some weird words in there. Even saying Healy names and locations, I kind of make it up as I read it.
Yep.
Instead of really trying to figure out how it is. But
I live in eternal fear of using the pronunciations in my head instead of the real ones, even to this day.
This biggest one is probably Mjolnir versus Mjolnir. I think there was an audiobook in there that pronounced that one wrong. It's like, ugh, really?
You too can become an audiobook fan and live all these fantastic experiences yourself. Right, next up we're going to do Last Week in Zeta Halo. Now, I've not played any Halo in a while.
Don't say that. We're a Halo podcast.
I know, Halo's not really helping me much here at the minute. The last thing I played was I restarted Red Dead 2. I took a notion to do that, so still in the early part of the game where they're leading you by the hand all the time. I forgot that happens a lot.
So I take it you've played Red Dead 2 before?
Oh yes, I've played it twice, I think.
So why restart it? I haven't played. Like, is there benefits to kind of like in terms of questing or progression to kind of restart, or did you just not want to do like any of the other side quests or whatever on your other characters?
There are a few side quests and stuff that I didn't come across in my original playthrough, so I would like to track those down later in the game. But also, if you sort of go into the post-credit game, you're actually... Do you want a minor spoiler?
Oh, I don't mind.
Okay.
I'm not going to play it.
You start the game as Arthur Morgan, but you finish the game as John Marston. It's the same thing as the first Red Dead, where you finish the game as a different character, and I like playing as Arthur more, so I thought I'd go back and like try and do the open world stuff before he dies. That's like the thing I want to do at the minute, and there's a few quests that you come across in the open world, and a few things I just generally didn't do before, so I thought I just want to load back in, ride around the countryside, hunt some animals, look for things, and see how we get on. So it was just a sort of like a chill out thing. It was that, or I very nearly got back into Farming Simulator because the newest one's available in Game Pass, but I managed to dodge that sickness. It has happened before. It will happen again. But I talked myself off that ledge, and instead I just thought, I'm going to play some Red Dead, I'm going to ride around with my horse, going to be a good time. That's really all I've done. Apart from that, I'm just watching a bit of TV and generally being more of like an outside person, which is not like me at all, but I was actually just watching episode 3 of Picard before we sat down to record this, so I have 10 minutes of that to watch when we're finished here. Picard season 3 is quite good, I have to say.
Is that the last one, or is season 4 the last one?
I think season 3 is the last one for this.
I remember seeing some advertisements that whatever the next season is the last one. So if season 3 is the current one, then that's the last one. Yeah.
I think they got the band back together, and it's like, right, this is it. We've got all these guys out of retirement for one last hurrah.
Yeah, hurrah. Yeah, exactly.
It's some of the new Star Trek's hit and miss. They've pulled the pin on Discovery. I think season 5 is going to be its last season, and I haven't been overly enamored with it. They should have a new season of Strange New Worlds coming out, and it is very good Star Trek, I will say. So, like, some of their new stuff quite good, some of it not so good, but it's nice to be in, like, a time when Star Trek is sort of thriving again. Like, there's always Star Trek news, and there's stuff happening, and it's kind of like the opposite of Halo at the minute.
Okay.
But that's about it. What about yourself? What have you been up to?
Well, I as well have not been playing Halo. I found this other game. It's a small little indie game by these up and coming developers called Destiny 2 Lightfall. Just came out a few days ago. This past week, I've been diving into it, and boy, like for those of you who play Destiny, whether you've played it a while ago or you play like on the regular. Like, I haven't really played since Beyond Light, and I didn't even finish that campaign, and, like, it's like a completely different game. Like, there's so many changes and things that you have to relearn everything, and there's the seasons, and there's the... Anyway, so I'm kind of just getting through it. I was like, yeah, it's a new cool thing. There's a bad guy, finally, that's, like, responsible for all the bad things that have been happening, kind of like a Thanos type of equivalent, and I'm like, finally, okay, well now I'll play this campaign so then I can have some closure to what I started back in 2014 with the original Destiny. and I've been kind of enjoying it. I mean, there's been a learning curve that I have to kind of go through. I mean, I think the expansion as a whole is getting a lot of flack and criticisms. I mean, I think it's only okay. I think the hard campaign is just stupid hard sometimes for no reason. Like, it's not hard because it's like challenging. It's just they just throw enemies at you and you just have to like zip around on your grapple hook equivalent. And I'm not really a fan of the new subclass because I don't know. So anyway, I'm just kind of like playing that. I'm on the last mission trying to beat that before the new week, just so I can have some closure for the campaign. But that's been fun, kind of getting back into it and checking out what's new and the pursuit of grinding for whatever piece of gear or light level or whatever. Like, that's something that's kind of always appealed to me in Destiny. But like, you know, what perks roll on what gun or what mod to equip in your armor, like all of that's just kind of like I kind of don't want to deal with any of that, but I kind of have to because it's part of the gameplay loop now, and it makes me stronger and more resilient and all that nonsense. So shout out to Bungie and them on the launch of their latest expansion. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. Although I think I might play Halo tonight because I just realized that there's the ultimate reward for this week is like a armor coating, which I kind of like. So I might check that out and get it before Season 3 lands. But part of me kind of doesn't want to play because I really want to play more of Season 3, and I kind of want to get burnt out of like Halo-ness. So we'll kind of see how I'm feeling after we do our recording today. But I'd say that's kind of where my video game persona has been of late.
Not too bad. It's Destiny would be Halo adjacent, so we'll allow it. It's more Halo adjacent than Red Dead anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I might have to dabble back into Destiny for a while. I saw a trailer and the space football was shooting things, and I thought, okay, I'm maybe here for this.
I will say, not to like give too many spoilers, but like this Lightfall is not the last expansion. So like, if you're looking for full closure, I don't think you're gonna get it. Which is kind of what I was looking for. I didn't realize this, but there's the next year's expansion is called the Final Shape, and that's supposed to be the conclusion to the Light and Dark saga that Bungie's been building to for the last 10 years. So if you're okay with playing the campaign and not getting a full resolution and then needing to kind of play throughout the year, then go ahead and jump in, or at least go in knowing that. But if you just wanted to like pop in, play a couple hours of the campaign, get your fix, and then move on, or like expect to be kind of done, like that's probably not going to be the general consensus when you finish the campaign. You'll be left wanting more, is from what I hear on the internet, and that's kind of where I see it going. I mean, I'm on the last fight, and I can just assume after I overcome this encounter, I'll get a nice little fancy cutscene, and then it'll be like, okay, I gotta wait and see what happens next.
I do kind of like half expect that from a live service game, so I suppose it makes sense, but we will see what happens with it. Maybe I'll just watch a YouTube video that sums up the story. I'll have to decide. But moving on from that, we will actually dive into the meat of this episode. Before we go there, we will talk about the last episode, just to remind everyone. On the last Infinite Impressions, I joined Steve and Nathan as we discussed community forge maps. I think we had 6 we chatted about. I dropped the links into the episode description so you can pull those up and hopefully get them through Waypoint, and then they'll appear in your Xbox and you can give them a go. They were quite fun. I'm looking forward to seeing just how creative the community gets with Forge, so we should hopefully make this a fairly regular occurrence to go through Forge and see what the cream rising to the top is every month or two.
Yeah, Forge is amazing for the community, and like the limits, or you know, that people are able to push and expand on, like, is just always amazing. So yeah, huge shout out to the Forge community. People haven't been able to play with other people on some of the custom maps or any of those things. Like, definitely check out some videos. Like, there's some really talented people out there.
Absolutely, yep. Go and give it a look. And by the way, if you have any Forge things that you would like to suggest or drop in or recommend, either send us an email or you can, I believe, send us a message to the voicemail number or drop us a voicemail or get us in the Discord.
Tweet at us, Discord, email. There's plenty of ways to get in contact with us.
It's, the more people looking at Forge stuff, the better. But we will go on and talk about this week's topic. So this is Season 3, Echoes Within. And Oran, you are our expert on Season 3, so you're going to take us through all the details.
Yes, indeed. So this is our preview. We're going to try to pump this episode out before the release or on the same date as the release, but if you're listening to this after March 7th, regardless of when we release to it, it's more or less available now. But the next season of Halo Infinite comes Tuesday, March 7th, and with it brings a whole lot of new things, new battle pass, new maps, new modes, some weapon and sandbox adjustments. We get a new equipment piece, we get a new gun, and all sorts of things in between. So I'll just kind of walk us through everything. Aaron, feel free to just kind of chime in with anything that sounds interesting for you. But we have some general details. Like I said, launches Tuesday, March 7th. There seemed to be some mild confusion on how long the season is, but most of the internet believes that it's going to last until Monday, June 19th, and then Season 4 will start on June 20th. Someone did say that it was a week later, to where like the end of the season would be on the 26th, and Season 4 would start on the 27th, but I couldn't really find a source on that. It's looking like 343 is finally able to get into a more regular cadence of the season's duration to what they wanted to when Halo Infinite first launched. Because, of course, we've been getting almost 6-month seasons between Season 1, Season 2, and then our Season 2.5 with the winter update. Because Halo Infinite came out just over a year ago, and we're only at Season 3. So that's good for them that they're able to kind of get into the cadence, which means we get more content throughout the year. With all of that, if Season 4 does pick up in June, we'll have a new 100 tier battle pass like we had for Season 1 and for Season 2, and it'll introduce a new armor core called the Mirage IIC, which is the SPI inspired armor. SPI is the semi-powered infiltration armor that the Spartan 3s used when they were being deployed into different missions and such. And so this is a Mjolnir variant of that as it's iterated over the last couple of years within the UNSC and all that kind of stuff in the other games. I know Alex Wakeford did a pretty cool cannon fodder a couple weeks or months ago that kind of dove into the lore behind the SPI armor and the Mirage armor core that we're getting in Infinite. We covered it on one of those shows, so if you haven't checked that one out, go check out Halo Waypoint. I forget which cannon fodder it was, but it was very interesting. Kind of told you the history about it. Maybe we can cover that later in the month if people want to hear about that. Someone posted a video, I think during the HCS event last weekend, of all of the rewards that we're getting. And so I took this from a Reddit post on the interwebs about the different rewards that we're going to go that are included. So we have some premium currency, which you can get a total of 1,000 credits by the end of the season. So then you can, or by the end of the battle pass, and then you can buy next battle pass. There are 41 challenge swaps, 19 experience boosts, 15 armor, weapon, and vehicle emblems, 5 nameplates, 3 brack drops, 3 stances, 8 helmets with 6 attachments and 5 visors. There's 6 left shoulders, 6 right shoulders, and 2 different knee pads. We also have 8 chests, 4 wrists, 2 gloves, 2 utility armor pieces, 24 weapon coatings, 12 armor coatings, 2 vehicle coatings, and then an armor effect, a kill effect, and a mythic effects set. So with a total of 186 total rewards. There's also 7 bonus armor coating rewards that you can get just by purchasing the pass that they announced on the HCS live stream. And it's kind of a cool, like, silvery red type of armor coating that when you log in, you get it for all 7 cores that are currently in the game from past seasons and from this one.
I like that. need more stuff that just goes over everything, because I'm still rocking the Reach core.
The Reach what?
I'm still rocking the Reach core, so like I need more paint jobs for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they updated it to where I think the visor color is accessible for any helmet on any core, because originally that was like locked to like different cores, and it like just didn't really make sense. But like, yeah, the armor coating should just be enabled for everything. Like, I would love to have some of the cool armor coatings that I have on my Mark 7 to like be put on the Fractures core, because the Fractures core is its own core, and like most of the stuff you get from that battle pass like don't really give you a lot of options, and you have to buy everything else. And it's like, well, I already have these cool armor coatings that I've already earned or purchased or whatever. Like, why can't I just throw it on a new armor core? All about making money, I guess.
Yeah, I do think they need to dedicate like some graphic designers to taking the cores, or taking the colors that are on individual cores, and just being like, right, we need to like design, like, I don't know how much work's involved in adding that to a different core. Maybe they need to test it and make sure it's right, but like, they should dedicate some people to that. There's not that many cores that are locked to each armor, or they're not that many colors locked to each armor core. They could do this pretty quickly and like just spread them out, and then going forward just make sure they work everywhere. Like, that should be, I think, something similar with accessories. Like, a lot of accessories should be just deployable on everything. I know like there's some limits, but I think long term they maybe need to look at that.
Yeah, and this was something that like came up when they first announced armor coatings versus like a color palette wheel or a color swatch selector for the customization. It's like, okay, I get what you're saying, but like we're gonna have to wait 2+ years of just like buying or unlocking or whatever to where we do get the full customization that you're talking about. Like, even now, like, it's still pretty limited, just because of what's available. But, you know, yeah, down the line, because Infinite's is supposedly a 10-year game, yeah, we're going to have a bunch of armor coatings by the end of 10 years, but, you know, what about right now?
I think even if like they're not necessarily cross compatible, they need like a pick and mix core, and then design all of the pieces they can to fit together on that one core. Even if it looks ridiculous, you need to be like, this is like the grotesque core, and you can stick anything on it, whether it's your fracture bits or your other bits, and it will look horrendous, but you can do it, because like, that's half the fun in Destiny, is like throwing bits of armor together. Like, I know half the time I just put a coating over the top of it in Destiny and go like, it all looks like this, and I don't care what's underneath the hood. But sometimes I just want to make a Frankenstein armor.
That is a quick like fix to like Destiny, because you're constantly, especially like the leveling up phase, you're mix and matching armor, and you're just kind of getting your power level up and all that. But if you slap a shader on and make everything the same color palette, 9 times out of 10 it's going to look relatively okay, because it all has some consistency. It might look a little awkward if like one thing is too big, or one thing's like very smooth, the other thing's kind of rugged, like, you know, that does kind of get in the way. But like, generally speaking, if you throw a shader on all the armor, like, everything looks pretty consistent. So moving along, so we have 3 events currently announced. I don't know if these are the only events. Hopefully we have a few other events, but we of course have our 3rd Fractures event called Firewall, which introduces the Chimera armor core. And week 1 will launch from March 21st to March 27th. And now, because it's not a 6-month season, and in the past we've had like 6 weeks of Fractures event, I can see this Fractures event being like only 4 weeks or something like that. And we would likely get more Fractures specific challenges to then unlock the Fractures event pass, since we now have to do it in a condensed amount of time. So the big question will be like, can you miss a week, or do you have to log in at least once during that week and clean up a few challenges so then you can get all 30 things? Because I think previously you could get 10 challenges, and so you only needed to completely do 3 of the 6 weeks. So if there's still 30 tiers but only 4 weeks, well, hopefully you can get at least 10, if not more, of those challenges. So then maybe you can miss a week or only do like half of every week or something. Just for people who don't have the time to kind of go through the whole battle pass.
It would be nice if they opted to maybe like unlocking 12 or 13 in a week, just because of the compressed time in the last weeks. I would appreciate that.
Yeah, that would be beneficial. Now, there are 2 narrative events that have been announced. One is called Mindfall, which is the first of the 2, which will launch day and date with Season 3 when it comes out. So it'll start on March 7th, and it'll go for 2 weeks to March 21st. We'll probably get a 10-tier battle pass or just event pass with that event, and that story will continue into the second narrative event called Sight Unseen. And that's SITE site, so that's more of a location in terms of their wordplay there. That did not have a date, but I would imagine if it's a continuation story-wise, like it's probably something we get in May, unless they bump it all the way to June. But I kind of have a hard time seeing that it would come in April, and we get our 2 story events in March and April, and then we still have May and like at least half of August or half of June to get through before the next season. So Sight Unseen, I'm putting in as probably May. That's kind of my assumption, but we'll kind of see what that turns out to be. And then maybe there's another event or 2 here and there. We'll definitely have more Fractures Firewall events spread out throughout the season to kind of get those challenges and things like that. In terms of sandbox, the new weapon we have is called the M392 Bandit, which is effectively a scopeless DMR. It's described to actually feel like the Halo 5 Guardian's pistol, which I think is very interesting. It's a 5-shot kill and has heavy recoil. The HCS event in South Carolina had like a Season 3 showcase, and they showcased the 2 of the new maps, the Bandit, as well as the Shroud screen, which I'll talk about in a minute. And it was pretty cool looking at people play that. I will definitely be a fan of the Bandit, I already know, because I thought I was going to be a fan of the Commando, but because of the fully auto nature of it and the recoil involved, like I am actually pretty terrible with that gun. I call it the assist rifle because I'll use it and get damage, but just can't clean up a kill, and my teammates will have to do that. But I'm a big fan of the DMR from Halo 5, even Halo 4, and definitely Halo Reach. So I hope to really enjoy the Bandit. I'll be taking this in the training simulator or the armory, menu item, and then checking it out. It will be interesting to see how it's utilized in BTB because it doesn't have a scope. So I think it's basically iron sights when you aim down, and that definitely limits the range when you compare that to the DMR. Because the DMR had that big old scope.
It's kind of funny because like the DMR is the more close range weapon or the more long range weapon, and the BR is the closer range one, yet DMR is going to be the one with no scope. I am still excited though because I, like you, love the DMR. I'm also very glad I had my mic muted when you said the assist rifle because I let a snort out of me there that would have been annoying to have to edit out. I'm not a big fan of the Commando either, but I am excited to get my hands in the DMR and play with it. So it's the one thing I've missed for a while. It is my rifle of choice. It's why I was always very annoyed in Warzone in Halo 5 that it was such a high-end weapon. It took me bloody ages to unlock the DMR card.
I did not unlock the DMR card until I was in the 70s of the ranking system.
It was ridiculous. It's not that high end of a weapon. But I'm happy it's here. I'm glad they're adding more weapons because hopefully down the line they add more cool shit as well in future seasons. I'm here for more weapons in the sandbox.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love more weapons and even kind of moving on to the Shroud screen. Like the Shroud screen is going to really change the meta and gameplay of Halo Infinite. Because it's effectively like a smoke screen is kind of how it's described. It's a launchable spherical shroud that obstructs the line of sight and motion tracker. Players and vehicles can move and shoot through it. And it's like this big blue bubble shield. But what's different with the bubble shield is that like you can kind of still see through it. You can see who's in it. You can still see through it. It is a little obscured. and it deflects everything. This is kind of the opposite in both accounts, where you can't see at all through it, but you can shoot through it and throw grenades and all that kind of stuff. And so watching the HCS people or the grassroots players playing this during the season 3 showcase, like, it was interesting. Like, they had like the oddball, they would drop a shield down, they'd hide inside of it. Players outside wouldn't know what was going on. You had bubbles on top of bubbles, and like, it really kind of messes with what you are used to see in the map, and kind of like, you know, your sight lines and just overall information gathering when you're assessing a fight.
Question, because you might be able to answer me this about the Shroud. Is it a drop ability? It sits in one place, or is it shoot and target like the motion tracker? Can I tag a vehicle with the Shroud, or will it drop to the ground every time?
So I don't know if you can tag a vehicle specifically, but it is a deployed like a projectile. So it's more in line with the motion tracker as opposed to the drop shield. Whereas the drop shield, you drop it right where you are. The motion tracker, you shoot it out and it pings at a distance. So that's what the Shroud shield will do. So if you're running, like say you're running towards the hill, and you know your buddies are on the hill and everyone's trying to storm it, you can project it over to the hill to kind of give your guys cover while you're crossing the ground, or the enemy team's kind of coming, and use it in situations like that. Or say you're fighting and the enemy team is kind of far away and they're shooting at you, you can shoot it towards them, and it will be an obstruction between you and them, and then they won't have a sight line to shoot at you. So like different kind of things like that.
The play I have in mind, and I need to know will this work, so we'll have to test it, is if the two of us go to capture the flag, can we shoot each other with our Shroud and run in 2 different directions, carrying the bubble around us so that the enemy can't tell who's got the flag? That's what I want to know. Suddenly it becomes the most amazing trolling ability I've ever thought of.
Although once you start running, it would, because when you run with the flag, it does notify where you are. But yeah, if we kind of like do a little huddle, we all shoot each other, pick up the flag, and then we disperse and run in different directions.
Like that moment of confusion.
Then yeah, it could definitely be some confusion. However, like if you think about it though, like if a Shroud screen is moving, then you know that whatever is moving is in the middle of the Shroud screen because it's attached to it, whether it's a vehicle or a Spartan. But it does create a momentary sort of confusion, but you could kind of counter it in a way, because you can kind of line up your reticle to where you think the middle is.
You create Halo Whack-A-Mole, like that's the way to do it.
I mean, that too, like even custom games wise, like this would be a huge thing for forgers and people to kind of just like create crazy and zany things with. So it's definitely going to change some things, the Shroud screen. Then kind of general tuning that's coming to the sandbox. Speaking of the commando, the time to kill has been increased from 8 shots to 9 shots. There was a kind of a minor tuning done during February last month, where I don't remember exactly, but the commando received some form of like target acquisition or like bullet magnetism update to where it's a little bit easier to hit the target. And I think because of that, they wanted to increase the amount of damage, or rather decrease the amount of damage that it dealt. So it increased the time to kill, needing you to get just one more shot. So it'll be 8 shots to lower the shields, and then 1 shot for a headshot, is how I interpret that. Then second for tuning is that the plasma pistol received a little bit of a nerf, and where the charge time has been increased from 1 second to 1.6 seconds. And they've also changed the tracking, so it's a little bit more predictable. And the kind of design philosophy around this is that if someone is getting shot with a charged plasma pistol, they want to try to give the defending Spartan a chance to kind of dodge it. And so they kind of tweaked the way it tracks that player and things like that. So those are kind of the big things. There are a few other things they changed that actually is already in effect. Things like the grenade radius, footsteps, and things like that. And so there's a few things, but generally speaking, the weapon sandbox is kind of staying the same than what it was before. Okay, maps and modes. We have 3 new maps coming, technically 4, but 3 coming at launch. The first is called Chasm. which is an arena map. And it's described as what you would get when you took boarding action from Halo CE and put some grapple shots. It's every bit as fun as it sounds, which looks really cool. It looks kind of like Citadel from Halo 3, and it really looks like it was pulled directly from the second campaign mission of Halo Infinite. And they even talked about that in the blog, is that they kind of were playing around and playing co-op campaign on Foundation, the second mission, and it was like, this would be a really cool multiplayer map. And so they kind of took over some assets, rebuilt everything, and that's what we got. And it looks pretty cool. It's a great map for the grapple shot. They talked it's really good for CTF because the flags aren't like opposite each other in the middle of the maps. They're opposite each other catty corner and like the corners. So it'll be interesting to see how this map plays like on the competitive level. And they also said that it has one of the spiciest King of the Hill locations that Halo has ever seen, which to me kind of sounds like it's at the very top, and there's like a tiny little platform, and you'll probably have to stand up there and just get shot at trying to capture the hill. The second map that's in Arena is called Cliffhanger. It's set on an Oni Black site atop of a mountain, also featuring man cannons for maximum vertigo. They wanted a different visual look from Livefire and Recharge in terms of Oni facilities, so that's kind of what they came with this as an exterior one on the side of a cliff. Also kind of featured on a Forerunner-esque location, seemingly Halo or Zeta Halo. And they specifically designed this map for zone-controlled game types. Think like Strongholds, King of the Hill. I don't know if you would really classify... Oh, I'm blanking on the name. The other zone one that's in BTB. But I don't know if you really want to do that in... Well, I guess there is a 4v4 variant. Is that just called Zone Control? No, Territories. I think it's called Territories.
Yeah, I think so.
Also great for one flag CTF because it's an asymmetrical map, which is good because the current one flag CTF map that we have, like Adrift, I think, or something like that, like is terrible. Or Launchpad. I don't know. It's like... It's bad. It's not a great map. I don't like it. Then our third map is a big team battle map called Oasis, and it's a mosh pit of pure vehicular fun for BTB, and it's got a stunning skybox with a Forerunner strip terraforming the desert environment around it. And yeah, this is a very, very pretty map. It takes place in the desert on some Halo ring, and yeah, there's like a terraforming triangle structure, and you have some kind of lush grass and sort of greenery emerging in the middle of the map, and then you have some bases, and yeah, it looks like a great, like almost like a Blood Gulch, not successor, but kind of like homage to, if you will, like spiritual successor, like sister map, if you will, kind of being like on a cliffside in the desert, kind of like a canyon. Yeah, that's going to be exciting for CTF. They took some inspiration from Exile from Halo 4, which I was a big fan of that map. That was a really good map from Halo 4. Yeah, looking forward to that one. Then we have Plaza, which is, or not Plaza, but rather it's a Plaza remake. Plaza is a Halo 5 Guardians map, and so they, 343, have remade it in Forge, and that map will be coming during Season 3, but not at launch. Unisheck confirmed that in a tweet. I assume that will go in the Arena playlist because it's a pretty competitive Arena map. Could make its way into Community Collection. I kind of don't really see it being in Community Collection because 343 made it and not the community. But we'll see when that launches. Probably sometime April or May would be my guess. The new mode that's coming is called Escalation Slayer. If you're familiar with this mode from Master Chief Collection, it's basically Halo's version of Gun Game, which is in a bunch of different first-person shooters. Players progress through a list of weapons and equipment loadouts as they score kills. With each elimination, you advance to a new weapon and new equipment, culminating to a final challenge to win, getting a kill with an oddball. So there'll be 4 variants of this. There'll be Team Escalation Slayer, Free-for-All Escalation Slayer, Big Team Battle, as well as Super Escalation Slayer, where Super mode brings the special weapon variants and upgraded equipment from the Halo Infinite campaign, which sounds crazy. Looks like a lot of fun. For the team modes, whether it's Team big team battle or team like regular 4v4, you need 5 kills at your team's tier to then log or to advance to the next tier or the next level. And then you can de-level your opponents by meleeing them in the back. So something to keep in mind. I wrote out all the levels, but I kind of don't really want to read them. But it's like, you know, your grenade launcher, your energy sword, bulldog, battle rifle, everything's kind of paired together. You kind of get your UNSC version and then your like Covenant or Banish version. So you have the sniper rifle and you have the skewer, and that's kind of like one level. You have the battle rifle and you have the commando, shock, and the stalker rifle. So they kind of paired it. So then if you're having trouble with like one type of gun, you can use the other, and then you can use the equipment to kind of help you get the advantage over your opponents to then go to the oddball. And with the oddball, you get the shroud screen. So it's makes for some nice hidden plays, popping out and whacking people. 343 released a fancy graphic that outlines the playlists updates and what's to come in the month of March. And so the permanent playlists that are probably still around right now is Quick Play, Big Team Battle, Ranked Arena, Fiesta, Tactical Slayer, aka SWAT, Team Slayer, and then the new Community Collection playlist that will be added. And then the rotational playlists, they're going to have the new Arena Unlimited playlist, which is only Chasm and Cliffhanger for the first week of the season. A bunch of different modes. And then the second week, they'll do new BTB Unlimited, which is only Oasis. So if you only want to check out the new maps, you can log in for the first 2 weeks, check out those playlists, and get familiar with those maps. Of course, you can also play them in training mode if you want to learn skill jumps and, you know, where things spawn and all that kind of things, and kind of go from there. So that Big Team Battle will be the second week from the 14th to the 20th. Then we have our core playlist that rotate, Team Snipers and Lone Wolves, and then ranked, you have Survivors and Doubles. So those playlists will rotate each week. Again, they only showed us March. I don't know if these two are just going to repeat throughout April and May, or if there's going to be a new mode. We'll just kind of see what's coming from there. In terms of the community collection playlist, they say that you're going to be able to earn XP. I don't know if that means like bonus XP or just saying that you can earn XP from playing in the community playlist, which should be the case. Like no matter what you're doing in multiplayer, you should earn experience. And they only showed 4 maps, but only 3 have been confirmed to be in the playlist. I hope there's more maps than just these 3. But you have Starboard by Pone Jones, Perilous by Skilla Sika Canico, and Who's Blaze, and then you have Salvation by Black Picture and Infinite Forges. And Salvation is actually a remake of the Damnation map from Halo Combat Evolved, which is also called Penance in the Halo Reach Anniversary map pack that came out during Halo Reach's lifespan. That one looks pretty cool because it's really like Banished themed, you know, whereas Damnation and Penance were very Covenant themed. They also showed Art's Room by Art Noob, but for whatever reason, they showed this map and it's not in the playlist. I don't really know why, but that's what they talked about on Twitter. And some people were like, WTF, like, why would you do that? And I kind of agree. Like, why show it if it's not going to be in the thing?
It's a weird choice. Don't put it in there if you're not going to do it. Like you said, hopefully they're going to add a few more in. Maybe as the month goes on or as the season goes on, they can pick out more community stuff and get it polished up quickly and churned out.
Yeah, at the very least, I think this playlist should be refreshed every season. Like, if the seasons are staying to be about 3 months, then, like, I think that's plenty of time to, like, find new maps, tweak really good ones within the community, and just do a big old refresh. You know, maybe they can do it more frequently than every season, but I think at least every season this should be, like, 100% refreshed. You know, if there's 8 maps or whatever, then bring in a new 8 for season 4 and just kind of highlight the community, or maybe do a mid-season refresh. That way we get 2 waves of community maps per season. That would be pretty cool as well. For you ranked players out there, the ranked experience will be updated. Placement and matching, it will now be based on career service record or your CSR as opposed to the matchmaking rank or your MMR, which means that teams will be based on what you've accomplished in the system as opposed to an underlying skill rating. To kind of also put this in more simpler terms, your MMR is determined like how well you do each map that you play, or each match that you play kind of like over the course of your kind of career within that like playlist. whereas your career service record is like your overall placement or stats and stuff across everything that you do, whether it's BTB, whether it's casual or social or all that. I don't really know exactly like what led them to this decision, but I guess like in their community feedback and their play testing, like matches were getting too reliant on like the only the matches that you played in that playlist, then it kind of affected like your placements and how well you went up or how well you went down. Whereas if they just did, if you play if you play casually on social and you play super hardcore ranked, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, then it'll just average all that together. So then when they place you in your ranked matches, it'll be based off of that, as opposed to just that specific playlist that you're playing in. At least that's how I am understanding it. If that's not how it's being implemented, then so you can call me out and inform me. But based off of the article, that's what I was able to understand. In addition to that, placement matches needing to qualify for a rank at the beginning of a season has been reduced from 10 matches to 5, which I think is great because like 10 matches is actually quite a bit of a grind just to get placed. Like I often like want to play like 5, 6, or 7 matches in a sitting, and then it's like, oh, I still need 3 more to get placed. And it's like, do I just want to knock them out right now, or do I do that first thing when I log in like next week or something? So I'm a fan of that one. Weapons that have been removed from Rank Arena are the Mangler, Energy Sword, and the Pulse Carbine. And the following weapons have reduced ammo capacity in Ranked Arena: the Heat Wave, the Stalker Rifle, the Bulldog, and the Shock Rifle. And these will all go into effect as well for the HCS Pro Circuit for Year 2. These are the same settings for Ranked Arena and for Halo's Championship Series as well. And I'm sure Josh and Will over at HCS Pro Talk have dove into these changes, and their kind of their impressions and critiques and things on this is probably a little bit more accurate or worth listening to than us. But yeah, so if you want kind of more on the ranked side of things and the professional circuit of Halo Infinite, you can listen to kind of their opinions on it as well. And they just got done with the event down in South Carolina for the first event of Year 2 of the HCS, so they have a lot to talk about, and a lot of content over there at HCS Pro Talk. And then kind of to wrap it up, I just have a few additional details that kind of didn't really fit anywhere else. But Alex Waitford, he does the blogs over on Halo Waypoint. He interviewed Cliff Schuld, Donnie Taylor, and Kim Haynes to discuss the development process behind the 3 multiplayer maps coming with Season 3. You can give it a read over on the Echoes Within Map and Modes preview blog post. I pulled some info from that blog post and from what they said, like, what map was inspired by what, but they do go into, more in depth of like the development process and like concept art and how the different maps played and getting art and all that kind of stuff. So like that I left out because it was kind of hard to put in like a digestible, sound bit. But if you are interested in kind of that process and how these maps kind of came to be, go over and read that blog post. It is pretty interesting. There's going to be more networking and desync improvements across multiplayer and co-op campaign. So just kind of better stability for those issues that are currently in the game. Back in September, 343 shared the following additions coming to Season 3 in a graphic, but there really hasn't been any update on them specifically, except for one, which I'll talk about. But there's custom game browser updates, in-game reporting, Forge beta improvements, ray tracing in certain parts of the game. They did have the VIP game type listed as coming in Season 3, but that has been confirmed to not be in Season 3. And has been shifted to a later season. I think Unishek confirmed that on Twitch because someone asked about it. So we'll get VIP later. But Escalation Slayer should be a lot of fun in the meantime. Then lastly, since it's March, it's Women's History Month. If you log into Halo Infinite, you can earn a Women's History Month emblem and nameplate for free. Just log in and get it. It's pretty cool. It's great that 343 showing their support and all that kind of stuff. So, yay to women's history. And that's all I got, Aaron.
That's probably the most Halo-y news we've had in a while, to be honest.
Oh yeah, There's a lot coming in this update. It should be exciting.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of what you were talking about there. So I might have to dive back in and play a little Halo for a while. Ugh, the chore.
Ugh. All he says on his Halo podcast, playing Halo.
Have to go and play some Halo and see what I think of it. I could do with a reason to push me back into it for a bit, so maybe this will give me the kick. I think the community stuff would be more what will draw me in the long term. I like the weird, different things that usually come out of that, so hopefully we'll get more interest and stuff there. I'm excited. Yeah, I like that they seem to be getting down to the 3 month season. The 6 months is too long. It takes too long. Everything feels too long. It needs to tighten up, and hopefully this is like a good start to that now. The content they're putting out in a much tighter time frame sounds appealing. Fingers crossed they get a handle on that. I don't know, overall, you excited for this season?
I am. Like, I think it's great that we're getting new content. I mean, is this going to really pull me away, like, long term? Probably not. But I think, like, it's good that 343 is continuing to update the game. They're adding more customization, and it gives me a reason to jump back in and play more Halo. I'm a firm believer that games don't need to control my, like, weekly gaming habits. I think it's perfectly fine to log in and play, like, 1 to 2 days of a game and then put it away for a couple weeks or a couple months and then come back and, like, play it again. And that's kind of like what I have with Infinite. Like, I basically come back whenever there's an event. And so I log in, I earn whatever challenges I need to do for the event, and then I feel satisfied and I log off, and then I'll play something else or I'll go back to work or whatever. So I think it's great that 343 is staying on their commitment to just continuing to work on the game, and will it keep me engaged for days and days and weeks? Probably not personally, but I do think there's a lot here to bring players back who have not played in a while and who are still fans of Halo and kind of want a little bit more new things to try out, new things to do, new things to earn. And I do think that, like, the Shroud screen, like, I was listening to people, like, in the HCS sort of thing, and they were like, this is going to change the game. And it was, like, very dramatic and kind of hyperbolic. But I was, like, thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to change it maybe that drastically, but I do think it's going to mix things up. Like, you're going to be seeing pro players, like, if you follow that, or even just, like, in regular matches, like, people are going to throw down the Shroud screen, and it's going to make you think for a moment. Like you said with the flag thing, like, you're going to hesitate and kind of be like, okay, how do I combat this now? And I think it's cool to have moments like that, to where you can mix things up and keep the gaming experience kind of fresh.
Yeah, and, like, it sets a good tone for going forward. And if we get a new ability every month or every season, and we get a new weapon every season, like, we could get some cool stuff out of this. Like, I look forward to seeing by Christmas time what 3 new abilities we have and what other weapons they bring in with. Like, bring back the saw.
Yeah, or like the railgun. Like, I love the railgun. I think that was such a fun weapon to use in multiplayer, because if you were just off, like, you would miss. But, like, when you land it, like, it's such a satisfying kill. So yeah, like, I think it's only positive, unless they do something, game breaking. But adding new content, refreshing things, new battle pass for people to earn, keep the game fresh. I think is a win all around. And I think it's fine for people to log in, play a little bit of it, and then go play something else and come back, like, or play 3 weeks straight and just grind out that battle pass for whatever tier that you want. That's fine too.
I think that's really what you want out of your live service game. You need, like, a steady enough stream of content that you can dip in and out, but, like, you don't need enough stuff to play. I don't think you need to play Halo every waking minute. But if you decide that the next 3 weeks are your Halo weeks, like, yeah, go mad. And then you can go, right, I'll jump back in June again, or maybe I'll jump back in May when the next Fracture event comes out, or whatever it is. So I'm excited. Hopefully this is the start of it picking up a bit, because especially if we're going to be so quiet on the campaign and the story end of things, like if they can pick up the pace on the multiplayer end of things and get more stuff going there, it could make up for it some.
If they can stay to three and a half months to a season, that'd be big for Halo, I think, if they can keep to that. Because like that's, I think, what Destiny does. Destiny does 4 seasons a year, so it's basically 3 months. But they've like got it down to a science now, and I'm not trying to use them as like the perfect example, but like it works for that service and that game, I think. And so if they're able to commit 3 for 3 to more continual updates and kind of more content being drip fed into the game, I think it's generally going to be more healthy for the community. Because 6 months is a long time.
Yeah, 6 months is too long. I definitely agree there. Watch this space. I should hopefully get this episode out Monday night or Tuesday at the very latest. You can dive into Season 3 and see what you think of it and let us know. Fingers crossed then, it's only up from here. Well, it wouldn't be hard to go any lower, that's for sure. Fingers crossed, we're going to be positive. We're going to see what happens. Well, I think on that note then, we'll wrap it for this episode, because that's pretty much everything. Guys, thank you for joining us. You can check out every episode of all of our shows over on the website, evolvedhalo.com. If you want to listen to everything all in one place, go and look for Halo Podcast Evolved in your podcast service of choice. Once again, special shout out to all of our patrons. Head over to patreon.com/Halo Evolved to learn more about becoming a patron today. And finally, if you'd like to leave us a voicemail about your thoughts on this episode or anything else that we've discussed, go to 205 Evolved. That's 205 386 5833. And with that, I have been your host Aaron, and until next time, evolved!
Evolved!